open. So
Mm-hmm. I know. It's been really nice to have the hair salons back open here in Florida.
Yeah, and you guys are getting I was going to say your nails.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to show you mine.
Yes.
No, that's been like so hard. It's so crazy. You don't realize how much you utilize something until it's taken away from you. So nail salons have definitely that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Okay. Well, we can go ahead and get started. I don't think everyone's here yet, but they can just come in as we go. So I'm going to start. Lily's trying to get in, but it's okay. She'll get in. So first off, I just want to say thanks for everyone for joining our first ever online event. Honestly, it looks really different than our normal events, which happen every month, and we're totally missing those and everyone that usually is there. But it's kind of cool because we're able to reach people more nationally than just in our local area. So that's a plus of this online event, and it lets us be able to have a guest speaker so much easier. And I can't wait for Sable to introduce her. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Brooke, and I'm the Sales and Marketing Director here at Jackie, and I'm so happy to be here and leading the questions. Mom, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Oh, I think you're on mute. You're on mute. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm on a boat, you guys. Like, I'm down in one of the quarters down below, so if it gets loud. But my name is Amber. I am the CEO and founder of Jackie. I'm really excited to have Kate on with everybody tonight, just for you guys to hear her story. But it's so great, Brooke. You did a great job setting all this up. And, you know, one of the biggest things about this quarantine is just the need for community. And so just the ability for all of us to connect in this way is just a really great opportunity. So thank you guys for being here.
Devin, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, anytime. My name's Devin. I kind of work with Jackie, helping out with some content marketing stuff. I own my own business called the Confidant Collective. Super fun, and love working with Jackie. Also, I'm based in Maine, so I'm a little bit further away, unfortunately, but I'm happy we are having a virtual event so I can be here.
For sure. Since Lily's not here, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself and introduce Kate. I'm Sable. For those who don't know me, I am a stylist and amplifier at Jackie. Love everything Jackie stands for. I'm proud to be a member of the company. But Kate is a model, an entrepreneur. She's a daughter. She's a sister. I feel so privileged to have met her when I was at Furman University for my freshman year of college, which is crazy because I just graduated. But basically, Kate and I had a similar knee injury, and so we basically met through physical therapy there at Furman University. And you can hear a little bit more information about that on her podcast, because she's now a podcaster. She has her own called Connect with Kate. I'll let her talk about that. But she is amazing at all that she does, and she really puts a lot of work and dedication and attention to detail in everything that she does. So we thought she'd be the perfect person to have an event like this with. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask her because she's got a lot of wisdom to share.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, Kate, so we're so happy to have you. So we'll go ahead and start with the first question. The question is, describe your family dynamic and who you're closest to in your family.
Okay, very cool question. Yeah, so family definitely comes first for me. I couldn't be closer with every member of my family in different and unique ways. I would say, you know, my dad and I have a very interesting and unique relationship. We are both Virgos, we're both perfectionists. He was born on September 11th. I was born on September 12th. So we couldn't be more similar. And as I get older, you know, I realize these similarities even more when it comes to work. We are so work driven. We are obsessed with creativity and projects and creating anything that comes to creating. You know, the medium he was born knowing he would go into is music, and singing and acting, and I had some of those interests growing up as well. And so I can definitely relate to him when it comes to work, and I admire him and his character. I would describe him definitely as a feminist. He loves women, and he's incredible. So really, we really have a close, amazing dynamic. My mom is an incredible woman. She has definitely persevered during some difficulties. She had breast cancer, and she's just such a strong, confident woman, and has always been selfless, no matter whatever it's been. It's always her kids are first, her family's first, and she inspires me in the sense that when she was 18, she moved to Paris and started work as a model, and just really led a different kind of path, and really followed her true authentic being, and has created an incredible life for herself. So she inspires me in that sense. And then my older sister Georgia and I are 17 months apart. We're roommates in New York City, and we're really close as well. She inspires me in many ways. She's very creative. And then my younger sister Charlotte is the funniest person I know, and we're very close as well. So I could have made that a shorter answer, but I'm very close with all my family members.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you have that kind of relationship with each of your family members in that way. Thanks for sharing that. Next question is, how did you know what you wanted to do as a career? I think this is a question that everyone has, and from any age. And so I'm really curious on what you're going to have to say.
The honest answer is I still don't know what I want to do. And I think that's why, if I had to define myself as in terms of career, I would say my role is an entrepreneur. That's my title, because I don't know what I want to do, but I want to create. And the way I've really, I guess, in all aspects of my life, I go off of intuition, and I've had ideas come to me out of nowhere, and they just pop inside my head. And that's really how I started my clothing line. One day an idea came to me, and it said, start a clothing line. And I did. And so yeah, I guess it's really following that intuition. And what's most important, though, as I get older, is what I realize is it's about who you are and less about what you are, like what you do, and always going back to who you are as a person, and let that guide you, instead of creating titles for yourself, and always staying authentic and true to who you really are.
That's awesome. That's such good advice. I love that. I think that all of us can apply that, and everyone feels that way. And it's almost encouraging, because it's like, what if we had to choose a certain career at a certain point, and then we were stuck with that for the rest of our lives? Like, I personally wouldn't like that. So I love what you said, and I love what you said about it being about your character more than your title. I think that that's huge. The next question is, how do you stay focused in the midst of COVID and just busyness in general? Because even before COVID, it's like either super busy or it's this way. So both are something to be balanced, and just how you deal with that.
Yeah, so for me, I like to start every day with a morning routine. I think it's the best time of the day to set intentions, and to really tune in to yourself and your needs and what you're trying to accomplish for the day, because everything is day by day. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I don't know what an hour from now is going to bring. So I think it's really important in the morning to set intentions, and I really use that time to journal, kind of see where my head is at. I use it to think about what I'm going to eat, how to take care of my body from the inside out. If I'm not eating well, I'm not going to look good or feel good. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which means I have to be very, very careful with my sugar intake. And so I start every day with apple cider vinegar. Worst part of my day by far. It is terrible if you've ever had it. And I know as soon as I take it, that the day is going to be better. It has to get better than that moment of taking a shot of apple cider vinegar. So I always started with that, and I do intermittent fasting, and that has completely changed my life. I'm not an expert, but what I can say is that I start eating by noon, and I'm done by 8 p.m. And that's helped with everything for me, with my mood, and my body's just been tighter. I felt more fit. My skin has been better. So that I'm a very scheduled person. And so what I'm trying to say is, during this time, I think routines and creating a schedule for yourself, even if that means getting dressed and putting on real clothes every morning and not just staying in your pajamas. I think that's really important, and going to bed at a normal time. So that's something that's really helped me. And then, being careful in terms of social distancing, of course, but I am getting outside. I'm going on walks. I'm listening to other podcasts. After I started my own, I've really gotten into listening to other podcasts, and I guess also picking up the phone and calling a friend or, a family member you're not with, and checking in with them is really important. So these are some things that have really kept me on track.
Yeah. So I know that you're really into mindfulness. Will you just kind of explain what that means to you and what that entails?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess it's really important to be aware and as present as possible as you can in every moment, which is very difficult. But I think, especially with social media and the busyness and, the noise is what I call it. There's so much always going on, and you're looking at people's lives, and it can get chaotic and hectic. I think it's really important to focus on you and your path and what you're doing, because again, it's noise. None of that matters. How, what other people are doing in their life, unless they're inspiring you, it's really not important. So for me, you're going to be more authentic if you're more present and you're comfortable with who you are. And something I've learned is, the things that I consider make me awkward are the things people like about me. And if they don't like that, that's their problem. Like I love the things about people, their quirks and just things that make them unique. So back to being mindful, it's being present as you can. And some things I do to focus on that are meditation. Something I thought was so ridiculous about a year ago. My mom recommended taking a meditation class. And I'm like, why would I sit there and do nothing for an hour? That is the biggest waste of time. And what I've learned is it's quite the opposite. And so many ideas have come to me during that time. So I would put that in the mindfulness category. Eating clean, like I mentioned, taking care of your body, looking at your body as a temple. I've become more spiritual, and breathwork classes as well. I've really gotten into those. And I think there's a lot online that you can do during this time of quarantine. And I mean, I've done classes where my body has gotten so hot, or I feel like I'm going to pass out, and all I'm doing is using my breath. And I think that's absolutely incredible.
Wow. I have never heard of that, but that is awesome. Sounds like a
Yeah.
great practice. I heard that you said you were a Virgo earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
on the Enneagram, what are you on the Enneagram? Just for a fun fact.
So I know this because of Sable and Amber. And like I told them, I was pissed I wasn't an 8 because I wanted to be what they were. So I found out I believe I'm a 4 with a 3 cusp, or maybe it's a 3. Wait, what is Jordan, Sable?
3. So you're a 3. And Brooke's a 3, actually, too.
Okay. So I'm a 3.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense. I've been reading about it, and I'm into numerology, but I haven't really gotten to know Enneagrams, but I think it's really cool.
Awesome. Next question is, why did you want to create a podcast, and how did you start? I know that Sable and Amber were on your recent podcast called Connect with Kate, and it was such a good podcast. I really enjoyed listening to it. And I know that you've had so many other awesome people featured. Will you just kind of talk about what made you want to create it and how it's going?
Yeah, so the person who inspired me to start one is on the Zoom. Her name is Samantha Klein. She goes to NYU, and she works for me on my clothing line. And she is the one who came to me and said, why don't you start a podcast? And at the time I was like, no one's going to want to hear my voice. I don't even know if I like the sound of my voice. But she inspired me to do it. And I think it's been an incredible platform and opportunity for me to share some of the incredible conversations I have, and really involve the people in my inner circle. So before, I haven't even, reached out to anyone I don't personally know yet, because I believe that the people who are in my circle are leaders. And that's a big part of it too, is really involving people I believe to be leaders in their community, and picking their brain. And because I have so many interests as an entrepreneur, it's a space to get into different topics. So spirituality, health, wellness, self-care, fashion, business, entrepreneurship, fitness, nutrition. I had Reese Thide from Dog Pound on, and he's been such an inspiration to me because he started this gym, and I learned from that, from talking to him, that he couldn't even afford a gym membership. And now he has one of the biggest celebrity gyms in the world. And so it's a place where I selfishly can ask the questions I want to know to make me a better person, and hopefully others out there can really learn some information from it as well.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's such a good idea. Sable and Amber, what did y'all like best about being on her podcast?
I know for me, one, I think Kate does a great job in articulating herself and asking the right questions to really educate her viewers. But I was just going to say, I guess the thing that I admire the most is that she isn't scared to try anything. And for her age, when I hear all the things she's dabbling in, it reminds me so much of myself in my younger years. Like, I always wanted to ask questions. I was always inquisitive, like I want to know who's doing what, and I want to pick their brain, and I want to hear their story. And I think for a lot of people who are looking to start a business, and Kate, you could probably speak to this, but there's this fear associated with it. Like, what if I fail? What if I fail? But when you hear all these stories of the people that you surround yourself with, of what they went through, we all have stories. And it's so encouraging. Like, she just soaks it up and she runs with it. And she continues to surround herself with people that share their story, give her tips, but she's a quick learn. So I don't know. I love hearing what's going on in her world. I feel like she's dabbling in so many different areas, and it was just a pleasure to be on her podcast and just support her and her vision, because there's no doubt she's going to be a huge success.
Thank you, Amber.
I think for me, first of all, you have a really good podcast voice. Like, your voice is just like strong, and I think that you speak really clearly and you articulate well, like my mom was saying. But my favorite thing about being on it was, I think reminiscing on like how you and I met, and Jess and Phil. I know they're not there, but people like that in our lives, it really had a big impact on us. And just getting to hear more about your story too, about moving back and kind of realizing you didn't, and you really had like kind of an intervention with yourself, for lack of better words, and like really got down to what it was that you were passionate about. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you pretty much just tossed aside anything that wasn't serving you at the time and picked up anything that you thought would serve you. And ever since then, ever since you moved to New York, it's looked like, at least from this side of social media and when you and I talk over text, that you're really succeeding in all of that. And your work shows for it too, because it's so successful. So that was really cool. I loved being on your podcast. And if none of you have gone to listen to it, I think it's a really great toolbox that you can dive into and get a lot of insight on many different topics. That's another thing I like about it, that it's not so linear. You have a variety of topics, like Kate was saying, from fashion to mindfulness. So this Zoom is really just kind of like a mini version of her podcast. You can learn so many more things. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So next question is, what is the most rewarding part about having your own clothing line? And when did you start your clothing line?
I think it was about 2 years ago. I've lost track. I think it was about 2 years ago. The most rewarding thing about it was definitely the people I've met through it. Even if that's, with customers I've connected with, and knowing that people are feeling comfortable in the clothes they wear, that's really important to me. And yeah, I've just met so many people. I met, Sam, who's on here at NYU. We were in a fashion class together, and then she approached me about helping me with my line. And then, the models I've worked with for a shoot, it's just been incredible. The different people I've met, and they've inspired me. And it's really cool connecting with, I thrive when I connect with, all types of people, and I'm learning through it as, and really growing, I believe, as a person.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've modeled, and how does that, when you think about your modeling career, did that play a huge part in how you designed your clothes? And how did you choose like how your models were going to be? Did you have anything that kind of stood out to you that you wanted to make sure happened because of your experience with modeling?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I believe I'm lucky because I'm in that industry being signed as a model. So I'm really interested in different people's looks and what makes them unique. And yeah, so I really take my time with, finding certain people I think would look great in the clothes, or photographers. There's so many amazing ones out there, and making sure, their vision and my vision align. So yeah, when I'm on set, or we did this one shoot in Los Angeles. It was on a beach, and yeah, and I really enjoyed that opportunity to create, and to be really involved. And I would run and be behind the camera or in front of the camera and get my photo taken. So being a part of all of that, I realized in the future I do want to be more behind the camera. I like directing in a sense, and helping out. And yeah, I think it's really important to incorporate all kinds of different looking models. And I think everyone's beautiful, and that's what I love as well, when people get clothes and they tag me in pictures. And yeah, everyone's unique. So it's a really fun process, and making those connections, and being a part of it as a model in the shoots and behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Sorry
that's cool. Yeah.
But Kate, I want you to touch on a little bit about your vision behind the brand with the rings and ribbons and that kind of thing. I don't know, Brooke, if you were going to ask that, but I do know that that's a large part of your brand and a large part of like your mission in a sense.
Yeah.
So can you touch on that a little bit?
Yes. Okay. So this is a long story, but that's how I know you're an OG, because you know the beginning, the rings and ribbons. So it goes back to Furman. This is kind of how I guess I was manifesting having a clothing line, but I wasn't really aware, consciously, that was happening. So I wanted to start a club at Furman called Peace of Mind. And it was all about helping high schoolers who were struggling with a difficult time, really, in high school. And I guess, not feeling comfortable with going to a counselor, or not having friends, or sitting alone, or just, family problems, whatever it may be. High school wasn't a happy time for them. So I wanted to get involved with high schoolers, and talk to them, and let them know that I had a terrible high school experience, and to be there for them, and really create more of a dynamic between their counselor at the school, and really create a community between those students, so that you might learn something from another student, and realize they're having a tough time, I'm having a tough time. That could create a dialogue, because I believe high school or middle school can be a really difficult time, when we're all forced to be somewhere and learn. And so it started with Peace of Mind, and the name, it's actually PIECE versus PEACE. So it's, if you share a piece of your mind, you'll gain peace of mind. So that's kind of where I came up with the name. So I was really into the idea of connecting with others and communication. That's always something I've really loved. And so I approached the school about it. The club was, getting started. At the time, I was also playing lacrosse, and then got injured, tore my ACL. So I was reconsidering what I wanted to do. I knew I was enjoying Furman, but I didn't really feel like I needed to be there. Something was tugging at me. So I didn't get to continue working with that club. Unfortunately, I would like to, pick it up later on as a project. But what I learned from it was that I had a desire to connect with other people, and so I always visualized rings and ribbons. So I had 2 rings representing people and a ribbon representing a shared idea. So tying those rings together. So that was kind of the visual I had. And then I thought, why don't, I create a clothing line and incorporate these rings and ribbons. And so I started working with grommets and cords and ribbons and rings, really. And those were my original designs. So that's kind of where, I started with that, and I wanted to use design as a medium to connect people together. And I think, as I continue with the brand, that is happening in different aspects. So now I have Connect with Kate. So yeah, I mean, it all goes back to like my core essence and who I think I am when it comes to wanting to connect with others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. We have a question from Jamie talking about what you just did. Mentioned, she says, since you brought up having a tough time in high school, what are some tips you would give to a young girl, my daughter, with mean girls? Have you dealt with them, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard even talking about this. It makes me emotional. I mean, it's such a tough time for young females, in middle school and in high school. Some advice, I mean, really trying to see, I know it's really difficult, but see if there are other people possibly going through what you're going through, and try and put yourself out there in a sense, and try and form a connection with another person. And I know it's difficult. I mean, I'm someone who used to sit alone at lunch every day. I would FaceTime my mom and people thought I was talking to myself. I had a terrible, terrible time in high school. So some advice I'd give her is, one, it's not going to last forever, and if you're not peaking in high school, thank God, because you don't want to peak in high school. I mean, we all know that, and there's so much out there, and there's, the world, it really is your oyster. That's how I look at it. And, just reminding her that there's so much out there, and that, maybe even picking up a project or joining an art class or doing something different to create, a different kind of community, or to meet all different kinds of people. I guess that's what I mean when I say forming a connection. So as much as you can, getting out of your comfort zone, and maybe, if you don't like theater, picking up a sport, you might meet someone, and the more community, I guess because if you're in a dark place, you have a tendency to want to separate yourself and be alone. So the more you do to really meet other people and potentially find someone else who has a similar interest as you.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thanks, Kate.
Of course.
Another question we have is, what are some misconceptions that others may have about you and your business? I think this kind of ties into what you were just talking about in a way. So go ahead and touch on that.
Oh man, I think, I mean, social media, there's so many misconceptions in itself. We use filters, we look a certain, we put ourselves out there. We all know it's a highlight reel. So maybe I appear a certain way I might not be, or people don't really know the real me. So I guess that's something in a business that I'm trying, in the business that I'm trying to navigate, to really show who I am, my authentic self. But I'm trying to think of other examples. So the question more specifically, it's where people think I'm not, could you restate the question? I'm going to try and think of other.
Yeah. So do you feel like people might think of you a certain way, but you're like, that's not me at all? Or just like misconceptions they might have about you starting a business, or whether that's in any of your industries or just you as a person? Um,
Yeah.
people are
Yeah, it's a really good question. I try and be as transparent as possible to show who I am. So I don't really know, if I haven't really been transparent in certain areas. I guess with my clothing line, I know that I would, like to create more high fashion pieces. I think that might be something people don't know about me. I love the creative space and doing photo shoots, as I mentioned, and playing around with different looks and makeup. So I think in the future, I would love to show people, some more pieces and to really expand my line and to do, I guess, more high fashion. So that might be something people don't know.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it's just things that people don't know, and that's a great example. The next question is, describe your team for your clothing line. I know that you said that Sam is a part of it.
Yes.
And what has been like being the boss?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable, really. And I just, how I do it, or what I say to them is, to my interns and everyone I'm working with, is we're learning together, as much as, I do have to take the role as a boss. I'm learning so much from them and they're teaching me. And I think, something I learned from, Amber and Sable from our Connect with Kate episode is that when they're looking to bring someone on board and to hire a new employee at Shop Jackie, they'll put them at the head of the table and you guys get to ask them questions. And I think that's super cool and really, really important to allow that person to show, who they are, why they're unique. And that's also something I just love about Shop Jackie, is because I feel like I've gotten to know all of you guys. I haven't met you, Brooke, but it's really cool what you guys are doing over there and in the team. So yeah, I think with my company, I really, encourage those I work with to, tell me where I'm going wrong. If I'm, don't be afraid to say, this, I don't like this, or why don't you try it this way? I think that's really, really important, and getting to know them as human beings and what they like, and in developing friendships as well, which I know you guys all have at Shop Jackie.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know it's cool because Amber is our boss, and I think it's so cool that you can learn from her and that y'all can learn from each other in that way. It's a really cool connection. Another question, what are you most excited about right now for your business?
Oh man, I'm excited manifesting new guests on my show. I love, when things pop into my head and I have an idea of a new episode, or even I'll come up with a title before I even have the guest, and I'll write it down. So, really having that ability to create. And I'm most excited about, who's going to be on the show and what Connect with Kate is going to bring. I'm also excited for my next collection, for my clothing line. Right now, the main focus has been on my bamboo sets, the hoodie and joggers, which I'll be reproducing. But being able to expand off of that and really kind of show who I am and really use that medium to share that. So, using the earth tone neutrals I love, and incorporating nature into shoots and letting people get to know me through my designs.
Yeah, that's so cool. What you were talking about earlier about your beach shoot, I love those photos.
Thank you.
You're welcome. When and where do you see your next shoot being?
Yeah, so I'm in Connecticut, and I definitely envision some shoots at either, like a little cottage or in a field somewhere, or anywhere where there's, grass and even incorporating animals. I've been thinking about that as well, having a goat in my pictures, or, down the road, I have a friend who has alpacas in her backyard. So yeah, and anything that incorporates more nature. I just sold some pieces to a spa in Ireland, and we're discussing having a shoot out there as well. And the owner of it's a castle, and the owner of the castle, she was the one who brought up animals, so we're on the same page with that as well.
That is so neat. I hope that happens.
I know. I'm really excited thinking about it.
You need to go back to Africa. Get some pictures.
I need to just move to Africa. I need to just quit everything. I mean, I need to just have an orphanage with all these kids, and give my clothing company to Sam.
I know. If you don't know, Kate recently traveled to Africa, to South Africa, right, Kate?
Mm-hmm.
And I just went to Africa too, and I think Kate was talking about an orphanage. Like, yeah, it's unbelievable how many kids there are. So unfortunate how many kids there are without homes and without strong families, and it's crazy. So that shows your true character, though, that you would want to start an orphanage there. Like, they really do grab your heartstrings when you're there, and it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, we visited some schools. It was my dad and I who went, and these kids, oh my gosh, the cutest experience and most heartwarming experience I think I've ever had. So we went to this one school, and all the kids there were actually, orphans, and I had a bottle of water, and I had drank like half of it, and a kid went to like, he clearly wanted some, so I was like, okay, yeah, have it. And they formed like a little circle, all these kids, and one took a sip and then passed it on. The other took a sip, and they kept passing it on, and they left me a little bit of water at the end. They went all the way around and made sure, and they gave it back to me, and I said, no, you have it. And so then they went around again, and they were just so sweet, and it was just probably, the happiest moment of my life, with, just unconditional love, and it was really special.
That's really sweet. That's the sweetest thing ever, that they even left some for you.
Oh, I died. It was so cute. They gave me, when it was empty too, they made sure I had the bottle cap and everything. It was so sweet.
So sweet. Yeah, we have a question from Cynthia. She says, when referring to a company culture, some businesses will refer to their team as a family or high-functioning sports team. How would you describe your team culture? What are the areas of your team culture that are strong, and what areas need improvement?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone on my team is specifically good at one thing. So I think it's really important to, hone in on what that is. So I start off by asking them, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And they've all been like so honest about that. And so I think, my dynamic with them is all very special. It definitely is like a family, and I've gotten to know them really well, and it's been an incredible experience for me, just getting to know them as human beings, and what makes them unique, and watching them, teach me too, and show off what they know. And they're all at amazing schools. Everyone I'm working with is in college, except for my younger sister, who's working as an intern too, and they're all just so creative. So yeah, I've no doubt that they're all going to be incredibly successful, and I'll keep learning from them.
Yeah, what's it like working with your sister?
So we've just started, this time of quarantine is weird, and she has her own thing going on. So I'm like, Charlotte, you have to help me with designs. You're so creative. If she started a clothing line, she would be doing, New York Fashion Week by now. She's so amazing with creativity and design, and she's gonna eventually go on to design school, I think. But it's good. Yeah, I mean, we really just started this week. I've, convinced her, and I was showing her how fun it can be too. And, we're looking on Pinterest together, and having, discussions, and it's been really cool.
Okay, you get your inspiration off Pinterest?
Oh, totally. Pinterest is the greatest. I could spend hours on there.
Same. Yeah, where else do you get it? Like, what are your favorite Pinterest people or Pinterest accounts?
Yeah, I don't even follow any Pinterest accounts. I just click on random things and, time flies by. I would say also though on Instagram, Explore is kind of cool. I really like the Instagram, I think it's called like My Domain, and it's all these different homes, and I'm really into architecture and cool houses, and so I really like that. And then I also was on Pinterest, and I found this. It was a picture of this chair on like kind of like on a mountain, and it was overlooking the water. And I clicked on it, and I found the artist, the designer of the chair, and then I followed him. So I thought that was really cool. How these apps can connect you, as we all know, with some incredibly talented people. So yeah, as much as I'm into fashion design, I'm definitely into, I guess now, furniture design and architecture and anything creative.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Okay, so if any of our other team members from Jackie have a question for Kate, they can ask now.
I have a question. I think I know the answer, but it might be good for everyone else to hear, and it'll give insight too into your brand and everything like that. But how would you describe your personal style? And when I say personal style, I particularly mean like clothes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really good question. And I actually afterwards want you to describe my style. But I would use like the word minimalism. I'm not really into streetwear. I mean, as you can tell by my hoodies and joggers, there's no logo on it. And I think people like that as well because it's timeless. So I would say I like timeless pieces, neutral earth tones. I don't know what the exact name of my style is. I'm still trying to figure that out. But yeah, I guess I can tell you like a few words like timeless, neutral earth tone colors. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I would actually like to. Could you, as a stylist, please describe my style?
I love your style. I think it's like you're really big on comfort. So believe it or not, comfortable can be a word to describe your style, because I think that it literally it filters out everything else that's not comfortable, right? So it is narrowing it down. I think comfortable would be a word to describe it. I do agree with you. I think minimalism, classic. My mom probably has insight into this.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have a term for her. I think it's sporty sexy, and that is like she can look high glam in her Billy set and totally pull it off. And so I think that anybody that can pull off this sporty sexy look it's amazing, because you're always comfortable, but you still could walk into any restaurant and you look amazing.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to quote you on that. I really
Yeah.
That's good.
I like that kind of style too. Like if I had my way, the Billy set, which by the way, we do carry at Jackie along with other Kate Connick pieces. If you haven't tried them, just ask your stylist, for those who are on the call. But the Billy set is just one of those things that you literally gravitate to it every time you travel, anytime, even going out to dinner some nights, I'll just throw it on with some really cute tennis shoes. And it's so comfortable and so cute. So, but I'm a texture person. So for me, that's what I love about Kate Connick clothes, is that she's really big on the texture she chooses. And so I always feel great in them. So just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And fabric is so important to me. I'm now organically dyeing it in Los Angeles, which I'm really excited about, because I was originally importing fabric from Canada, and I would go and look at different fabric stores in New York City and kind of shop there. But now I'm actually producing it myself, which is really exciting, and that's why I spend so much time on each one. And the sustainability aspect of it is important to me as well, especially if I'm incorporating nature and I think it all aligns, and I'm really into sustainability now as well.
Super
Yeah.
cool. Sorry, Brooke, you have something?
Go ahead.
To say somebody wants to know, switching topics, unless Brooke, you have something to touch on.
Go ahead.
Are you single? And do you have relationship advice? That's what Jamie Foss wants to know.
Who wants to know?
Jamie Jones.
Okay, cool. Hi, Jamie. I'm very single. I'm not going to even say single. I'm very single. Man, I don't know if I can give relationship advice. I think you're going to have to leave that to Amber and Sable. They're living their best lives in great relationships. What worked in past relationships for me was, that's communication. That's number one for everyone. What I can tell you that what didn't work in relationships is anytime I didn't love myself. And what I'm doing now during this quarantine is so much about me and getting to know myself better and working on my weaknesses so that I do attract someone into my life that aligns with who I am, if that makes sense. I feel like the universe is, a mirror. Anyone we meet is a mirror, with significant others. And if I'm not feeling worthy, or I have I don't have, confidence in myself, or I don't love myself, I'm going to attract someone who doesn't treat me the way I need to be treated. And that's something I learned. So I am 100% happy being single. And I know that partner I do manifest, and the one that does come into my life is going to come at the right time. But I know that this time is completely for me. And I love that, it's during quarantine that it made me realize that. And yeah, it's right now it's all self-love.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you have your experiences in the past, that you know you want to use them for the future. And I think it's really honestly accurate that you can't expect to be loved if you don't love yourself. So that's the truth. Anyone else? Lily, you didn't get to introduce yourself. How about you introduce yourself?
To unmute myself. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kate.
Hello.
I've seen Kate in New York when we went to show in February, I think that was. So it's wonderful to see you. I miss you.
I miss you.
Can't wait until we're back in New York, hopefully.
You're glowing. You guys all have this Florida tan.
Oh my gosh. Thanks. But I guess my question is, because I would say as a young female entrepreneur, like, what are the biggest challenges that you face in kind of starting your own business? And do you face any challenges, other young women entrepreneurs that want to start their own business? Like, kind of just the steps that they can take to be successful, like yourself.
Definitely. Yeah, we have emphasized, the things that have gone well, but that's not to say there haven't been obviously so many challenges. I think one thing I've learned is it doesn't happen overnight, and it's really important to stick with it. If you believe this is what you should be doing and you feel it in your gut, then stick with it, really giving yourself time and letting a business grow. So that's been a challenge for me. Another thing as well is just I can be impulsive. Like, I have an idea and I want to do it, and you can make some mistakes that way. So I think giving yourself time to really, Sam did the clapping emoji because she's the one who tells me that. I get ahead of myself sometimes. I get all these ideas and I want to follow through with them. So that has been challenging for me. That's something I've learned that's been, I guess, a weakness, something I need to improve on. So I've been more patient. I try and teach myself patience in all aspects of my life, my dating life, my work life, everything. I think patience is, and that goes back to, mindfulness and being present and happy with, what's currently happening. So yeah, I would say that's been a personal challenge for me. Making sure that I stay true to myself. I hold my ground because, I believe, everyone is a good person, but for whatever reason, there are people out there who could ultimately want to take advantage of you. So I think, being really smart and being okay with saying no too, not trying to please everyone. It's difficult in the clothing industry, with factories. I mean, I have experienced things where I've, seen certain things with pricing and it doesn't make sense. So I think doing a lot of research is really important. Taking your time with things and being okay with saying no, especially as a female entrepreneur. It's really good to know how to say no. Self-assertion.
Yeah, that's good. So you're in Connecticut right now. What are you most excited for to get back to New York?
Oh man, opportunity, networking, meeting people. I can't say I'm that excited to get back to New York though. I've loved being around nature, driving a car. I'm excited to see what the subways look like because they are sparkling clean. Apparently, Cuomo is so happy about this because this is the first time, they've really, really scrubbed down the subways. So I'm excited to see what the subways look like and to feel comfortable riding on the subway again.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's huge. Like,
Yeah.
I bet it's never been cleaned.
No, it's so dirty. I make eye contact with a rat every morning. It's like, hey, what's up? The usual.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I also really miss going to coffee shops. That's something I love about New York City is, just finding these cute little places and bringing my work with me and setting up and, having a latte. It's just something that's so special about New York City or, all the different coffee shops.
Yeah, I love that about coffee shops too. There's just something about them.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, being in New York, the coffee shops there, like I could just go from one to the next all day long. It's just something about being in New York and the coffee shops and looking out the window and people watching. And one of our favorites, Culture, where we go every time we're there. They have the best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had in my life. They're amazing.
Yeah.
What?
You had the cookies, Kate.
Oh yeah. We had it at the Javits Center.
Yeah.
I remember. I'll never forget. But no, every time Sable and Amber come to New York, it doesn't even seem like the city I live in anymore because they're showing me all these places I didn't know, and the places I show them aren't even cool. They're like, oh, we're gonna go. We have this whole agenda. We're gonna try this spot, and I'm like, wow, I love this city even more.
We were there, Malibu Farm.
Say that again.
You showed us that restaurant last time you were there, Malibu Farm. We had dinner there.
Yes, I love that place. Yeah, that's a good one for you guys listening. Who next time you go to New York, Malibu Farms is really good.
Yeah. Okay, well, if anyone has any more questions, they can ask now, and then we're about to wrap it up. So just type in the chat if you have any questions, but while y'all do that, I'm just going to explain Jackie if you're new to it. So Jackie is a subscription styling company based in Bradenton, Florida. We carry high quality boutique brands, and the best part about us is that it's a personal relationship with a stylist. We never use algorithms, and it's all about getting to know you and your lifestyle. So if you go to our website at shopjackie.com and click apply now, I'll reach out to you and get you set up with a stylist at Jackie. So make sure you do that if you're not a client already. Also, we'll be recording this. I've been recording it the whole time. And it's going to be sent to you in an email. And also, you're going to have links to join our Facebook page called The Table. And it's just a cool way that we all stay connected and share ideas, whether that's a recipe, a business opportunity, or something along those lines. It ranges. But we'd love to have you ladies as part of that group and just say thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been so cool to have our first event and have Kate on. You've been such a pleasure to hear from you, and you just have so much great advice and wisdom at such a young age. So it's been so cool to have you a part.
Yeah, I want to say, like, it's too bad you guys have nothing going on. I just feel you're not creative. It's so sad, you know. No,
Kate,
your team is unbelievable. I mean, I'm so impressed by all of you.
Kate, before we go, will you share with everyone who might not yet follow you how they can connect with you, what your podcast name is, just so everybody has it so they can continue watching you flourish?
Yeah, totally. So thank you. It's Connect with Kate is on Spotify, and if you don't have Spotify, it's on Anchor, a couple other random websites. I'm working to get it on Apple Podcasts. My website is kateconnickclothing.com. My Instagram is at kate.connick, because Kate Connick on its own is taken. I've DM'd them. I would like my name back. And then Connect with Kate is just at ConnectWKate. So yeah, I think that's everything. You have lots of ways to connect with me. So I would love to talk to all of you further and get to know you.
Thank you.
Well, ladies, it's been so fun. I don't see any more questions in the chat box, so I'm going to let you all go. It's been so great, and thanks so much for joining.
Thank you all so
All right,
much.
guys.
It's been incredible.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
You too.